today to celebrate and honor the life of our dear friend, Bea Robinson Mendez. My name is Joe Cotto. I'm a former superintendent of the Eastside Union High School District and also a former assembly member, and have been asked by Bea's family to guide this ceremony this morning, this celebration, this honoring of Bea Robinson. There will be another program at 6 o'clock, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Center for Employment and Training. So we're going to move this. The family has asked that we move this agenda as quickly as we can. We're going to begin our program as the program indicates by having Candida Graves as a soloist and accompanied by Marlene Fernandez, and they will honor us with a version of Ave Maria. As your program indicates, we're going to have a series of eulogies by members of the family, by distinguished elected officials, by civic leaders, and other people that are listed in your program. We're going to begin first with Frances Tenori, who is Bea's sister.
Hello, and thank you for coming. My name is Frances Tenori, sister to Bea Robinson Mendez. I want to tell you a bit of our history and growing up years. My sister Bea, my brother Louis, and I were the last 3 members born in Ventura County. We were considered the babies of the family. The older brothers gave us a few nicknames. Bea was called La Negra, Louis was called Pelon, and I was called La Flaca. Bea was also called Teaching, short for Beatriz. Those 3 names remained with us for all of our lives. Our mom and dad were born in the state of Durango, Mexico. My father was born in 1883, and my mom was born in 1899. My grandmother, a widow on my mother's side, came to the United States in 1912, along with my mother, several cousins, and aunts. The toll at that time was 2 cents per person. They were issued a permit to reside here in the U.S. as permanent residents. El Paso became their place of residence. My mom met my dad when she was 18 years of age, and after a brief courtship, she married my dad. From that marriage, they had 9 children. My mom became Francisca Vasquez. The jobs in El Paso became as scarce as could be, and Dad decided to move the family to Los Angeles, California, where 5 of my siblings were born. Jose Vasquez, my oldest brother, was born in El Paso, Texas. Again, my dad moved the family to Ventura County, where we lived in Oxnard and Simi Valley. My father followed the crops, and he decided to move again, as now we were 9 children. Even though my mom objected, he wanted the boys to work the crops, which he heard were abundant in Santa Clara County. We moved once again to Gilroy, where Dad opened a restaurant, a bar, and a pool hall. My mom was an excellent cook. But that was around 1940, 1939, 1940. Later, the landlord that we had building at sold the place, and my dad had to move us again. We came to San Jose around 1940. By this time, my brothers were drafted into the military, except for Jose, the oldest, because he had enlisted at the age of 16 in the United States Air Force. My older sister, Bertha, had eloped and married her boyfriend. And believe it or not, that marriage lasted over 50 years. That left Bea, Louie, and I to help in the restaurant. My brother Louie liked to cook, and so did I. But Bea always had other plans. She wanted a higher education, and that was one of her aspirations. Bea, Louie, and I went to Longfellow Grammar School, Peter Burnett Junior High School, and San Jose High School. When my mom separated from my dad, my mom was determined to work at the restaurant along with us 3 kids. It was rough, but Mom was a very determined and hardworking lady, which was unheard of in those days. Then Louie was drafted into the service. When he left, that left me and I and my mom. We didn't like to cook, so it was Mom and me. Bea always did the bookwork and was a cashier. Mom never complained so long as Bea would help. One day, Bea was offered a job as a clerk with Lalo Caballero, an announcer at a local radio station. I'm looking at Blanca because she knew the story. She was in her glory. The opportunity was an opening to her, realizing her abilities to be able to help people. Bea loved to read books and always completed her homework on time. Eventually, Bea married and was on her way to becoming a housewife and having 3 children. Out of that marriage, she had Victor, the oldest, Eddie, and Elizabeth. But crossroads led her to separation. As young sisters, we always knew each other, what was happening. The marriage ended and she became a single parent with 4 young children, 3 young children. And as time passed, she met Vincent, and she had Vincent. We called him Cachito. I guess everybody remembers that name. And that marriage ended, and she became a single parent with 4 children. As time passed, she married once more and had 2 more children, Rose and Ray. That marriage also ended in a divorce and she became a single parent of 6 children. Years later, our brother Jose Vasquez was totally involved in many issues regarding the Latino communities in Santa Clara County. He enlightened me into how to move around the state, municipal, and local governments. Our brother Jose taught us to fight for our rights and to respect all people. Bea became an advocate and then a leader for battered women and founded an organization affecting the quality of life for battered women, bringing a hidden social issue to public awareness. That organization was called HOME, which became nationwide. That organization was called Next Door. She also started other organizations, worked with only officials, including the police chief.
She was one of the best of us. I say that with sincerity. She actually believed in what she was doing. She grew up in her lifetime, grew up obeying the rules, but still she had a violent relationship with her father, with her husbands, and she fought through it all. I had a front row seat watching my mom emerge out of a cocoon of society suppression, women's traditional roles, she broke out, flapped her wings, and started soaring. And she helped him with the little money she had and sacrificed all her time. She worked without a paycheck for at least 3 years, I think. And I got to watch it. And one time, she asked me and my brother, Eddie, she asked us to go over and help move some furniture over there. And it was a new shelter they just got. It was an old house, but it was new for them. And she grabbed me and she said, run outside. There's some guy coming trying to hurt this lady. And so I run outside and I see this guy, big old huge dude, and he comes barreling up there, and I go, oh no, it's gonna be rough. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden he stops. And I look to the side of him, and there's Eddie. Eddie looked pretty formidable, believe me. I would stop too. Anyway, so that's the kind of people she was dealing with. She didn't care. She wanted to help women, and she wanted to help all women, try to realize their potential and get away from those toxic relationships. That's my mom. She won this Assembly Award from the state of California. She's got lots of pictures. She's got with governors. She's recognized by the city. She worked in the GI Forum. She was the director of the census here in this regional area. She had 40 people working for her. Joe was one of her favorites, of course. But my mom was like a mentor to me. Deal Joe was like a mentor to her. And I believe my mom was a good mentor to Jody and Sue, myself. And she would listen to my poems when I wrote them. She would help me with my diet for wrestling. Instead of fighting me, she helped me. She talked to me about different colleges, where to go. She gave me all kinds of books to read. And she discussed books with me. And the biggest thing is when I got drafted to Vietnam, she got me a lawyer so I could get out. I couldn't believe it. I go, well, that's my mom. I should have believed it anyway. She said, I got a lawyer for you, Victor. Don't worry about this. Okay. She loved to have Annie, my daughter, go over to her house and go swimming. She would talk to Annie all the time. Annie was like a little fish over there. She always had to go there. And she really was concerned about the professions and what they were going to do. And she asked my son, Andres, she said, so what are you going to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a clown. I go, oh my God. I know he was joking, but she was serious. She was a friend to me. She would watch classic movies with me. She would take me on strikes. She would we'd go gambling together sometimes. Always going out to dinner and stuff. She loved hanging out with her friends, all her politic friends. She loved Linda Ramsey. She loves Mary Ellen. She always enjoyed Jody's company. And of course, Susie and Giljo were her favorites. And she was just fun to be with too. So, but lastly, what I'm going to say is she was my hero.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Can we now call up Bea's daughter. We're going to call Bea's daughter Elizabeth Pacheco.
Just very briefly, welcome everybody, thank you for coming. Frankie Marco's grandson, eulogy for Nana. Well, first of all, I want to apologize for not being able to attend. I had an opportunity to perform comedy in Australia for 3 months and I agreed to take it. Back to Nana. Let's start with resilience. My Nana went through a lot as a child and throughout her life. She had to fight and adapt, then continued doing so while raising 6 kids. At times, my Nana could be as cold as an ice cream machine, but she could also be super sweet. She's always been lovable, always been a role model. I am blessed to have shared time with her in this life. Good morning, Mama. Look at all of your beloved family and friends here to pay their respects. To demonstrate their abundance of love. And in your honor, Mama, I hope you're pleased. Dear Mama, from the time of my birth, as you have told our story, you suffered no pain. You were amazed that you had no pain and instead felt joy. You called me by so many names and I answered to all of them. Lizzie, Liz, Lisarla, Michi, Elizabetta, and Elizabeth Vasquez Godinez Robinson Marcos Pacheco. It didn't matter. They were our personal mother-daughter moments, and we would laugh. My memories of you begin when you were preparing me to enter kindergarten at Longfellow Elementary School. You had me jump up and down on Grandma's front porch and recite Grandma's address, 271 West St. James Street, San Jose, California. You were my protector. I came home from another school one day and I told her I was called a dirty Mexican. She spoke to the principal. She stood up for me. You taught me the beauty and delight of setting a table, and to this day, my children and grandchildren enjoy this. You taught me family values. You called me from your job one day and said, Lizzie, I need you to make a pot roast dinner. Okay. And she walked me through the process. You taught me how to cook. It brings me joy now to cook for my family, and my sons are also excellent cooks. We would go to Whitefront and other stores to buy fabric, needles, bobbins, thread, measuring tape, Vogue and Simplicity patterns for those of you who remember. She would sew my prom dresses, my pants and tops, and bows to match, and I wore them. You showed me how math is an important skill and how it is used in our daily lives. You showed me your seamstress talents. You drove me to Catholic churches to learn about my Holy First Communion and Confirmation. There I learned the value of religion. You corrected my papers in that red pencil of yours, and even though I would grimace, I earned A's and B's in English classes. You taught me the importance of grammar, punctuation, and spelling, and I enjoy writing to this very day. You were a domestic mama. I worked very hard. As the years went by, we supported each other, and in your quest to teach us the importance of voting, precinct walking, volunteering, and becoming an independent person, we learned so much about ourselves and our community. Que viva la causa, and Bea Robinson Mendez. When I needed to talk about a job prospect or circumstance, you gave me sound advice. You taught me the importance of strong work ethics. We would attend your award ceremonies and watch your leadership accomplishments being acknowledged. We are extremely proud of you. You would come to our theater plays and cheer me on with your applause. I wanted you to be proud of me too. We gather with family and friends to celebrate birthdays, holidays, or just to share a meal, play games, listen to music, toast with tequila shots now and then, and all those delicious barbecues from Vince and Ray and Diego, all the while teaching us about creating precious and fond memories. Although I think of you as our Rock of Gibraltar, we learned together how to deal with losing our beloved ones. First Eddie, then Rose, Vince and Ray. As painful as it was, I believe your magnificent artwork helped you survive the devastating pain we all suffered. And so I too began to express myself through artwork. My life is fulfilled, Mama. With my husband, my grandchildren, and friends. Please know I continue to pass on some of the values you taught me. As you pass on to your next journey, may you rest in peace, surrounded by all your friends and family and beloved angels. Thank you for everything, Mama. I love you. Your daughter, Liz.
Been a long-term elected official in San Jose, a city council member, vice mayor, county supervisor, and she's here. She was one of Bea's closest friends. Please welcome Blanca Alvarado. Blanca.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Victor. You know, in the company, in the presence of Liz, Victor, Bea's family, Bea's friends, Teresa and Jess, Jaime and Elisa, you're back there somewhere, Pete and Patricia, and all of you, the beautiful people of Santa Clara County. We have gathered to pay tribute and to honor the life of a remarkable female woman leader, my good amiga, La Bea. La Bea. I love to say that because we always call her La Bea. You know, her adorable smile and her endearing personality and her strength of character are vivid images of who she was and who she will always be. Over a span of 7 decades, we remained the very closest of friends. During the hardest times of our lives, with the passing of our children, our sorrows were deep and painful and shared. We supported and leaned on each other in good times and in bad times. We grew older together and lamented the conditions and the divisions in the world of politics today. But we also comforted and uplifted each other despite our diminishing physical problems. Throughout, however, we cherished our shared love for books, for movies, for the opera, and last year when my daughter arranged for transportation and tickets to see Hamilton, we were ecstatic. We had such a good time together. We had so much fun together, so many times. She was a Chicana feminist with a deep love for our Mexican culture. And she often used dichos she learned from her mother to make a strong point and a relevant point at that. One of my favorite memories of her is of the time she and I rode as princesas in a KLOK radio-sponsored, very snazzy convertible in a Cinco de Mayo parade. I still have pictures of those wonderful, wonderful days, so many, many years ago. But of course, what comes to mind as well are the times we campaigned for her brother Jose when he sought election to the city council. Jess Delgado, when he ran for the Board of Supervisors. Juan Vigil for the State Assembly, and of course, always supporters of Joe Cotto. Simply. And of course, also, Al Garza. We also worked on Al Garza's campaign way back when. And I'm talking to the old timers now. It is true that Bea and I, in relentless pursuit of equality and social justice, sharpened our political skills through the Chicana Coalition, the Chicano Employment Committee, the Latino Democratic Club, and other civic forums. We were contemporaries with some of the bravest women in our generation, including Esther Medina, Ernestina Garcia, Sofia Mendoza, and Ernestina Sofia. She still continues to serve the community. We have been trailblazers, and today we are beholden to a new generation of progressive women leaders like my daughter Teresa, Gabby Lopez, and many others who are carrying forward the example and legacy of Bea Robinson Mendez. Let's say her name, Bea Robinson Mendez. I will hold Bea in my heart with gratitude for her enduring legacy as a protector and advocate for women. As a fervent Chicana activist who experienced domestic violence as a child and in her marriage, she overcame sexism, misogyny, and harsh criticism for her outspokenness in defense of battered women. As a result, she transformed her life and her own pain into an organization that today is a refuge and a sanctuary against sexual predators, human trafficking, and other brutalities against women, girls, and LGBTQ people. In the words of my friend Rita, beautiful friendships are forever. And thus, the biggest tribute we can pay to Bea is gratitude. Gratitude for the life we shared and for her spirit that comforts and strengthens us. She loved us, and for that, I am grateful. Peace to all of you.
Our next speaker is was also a very close friend of Bea Robinson Mendez. I mean, he was her counselor, her advocate, her taxi driver, to take her to athletic events, went to the Chase Center and just spoke volumes about the relationship between Pete Carrillo and Bea Robinson Mendez. And talk about community activism and being an advocate for the city and being a champion for this community, and particularly for Latinos. Please welcome the Honorable Pete Carrillo.
Thank you, Joe. Much appreciated. First and foremost, let me thank Bea's family, Liz and Victor, for allowing me to be part of this memorial service, and especially for inviting me to say a few words about my very, very dear friend, Bea Vasquez. When we first met back in the late 1970s, we weren't exactly friends. In fact, my first interaction with Bea was receiving a call from her about some comment I had made at a community meeting that she, mincing no words, did not like. Many of you in this room probably have received or did receive similar calls from Bea. But over the years, Bea and I became like brothers and sisters. We laughed, we talked about our families growing up, we talked about politics, we mostly agreed with each other, but we also had fierce arguments. But as many of you know, that Bea being Bea, she won most of the debates. Bea and I had often had meals together, almost weekly, and usually without making an appointment, I would call her and say, "B, I'm picking you up in 5 minutes." To which B, in her B way, would yell at me through the phone, "I'm not dressed," and she had other adjectives to add. And then a few minutes later, B would walk out of her house looking as beautiful as ever. We were also big Golden State Warrior fans. Not a game day went by when I didn't receive a call from my B to give me her assessment of who on the team was doing good and who was not. There are no words to describe what a tremendous loss B will be to me, to my family, and to our community. Through her efforts, whether by starting WOMA, being a partner with her brother Jose in suing the San Jose Unified School District to desegregate its schools, or helping to change the district's election system from at-large to district elections, to the founder of the Chicana Coalition, she had an enormous and far-reaching impact in the community and an enormous and far-reaching impact to me. She will be lost, but she won't be forgotten. B, you were like a sister, actually a lot like my oldest sister Lydia. B, I will miss your calls, but I will not forget them. B.
Thank you very much, Pete. Before I bring the last eulogy and conclude the program, I want to acknowledge that my very special wife and my daughter, Lisa, are both here in honor of Bea Robinson Mendez. And the reason I mentioned my wife was because several years ago she invited me to join us on a trip to Europe, and we went to the French Riviera, to Paris and the Louvre and Positano, and just some of the highlights of the European trip. And during all of that time that we spent with Bea, we would ask her about what she considered her most important victory. What is the most important? Because there is a list that Ramon Martinez presented to me that lists all of the awards and the recognitions and everything that Bea had accomplished during her lifetime. And I will never forget that as we went from place to place to place, and we asked her, what is the most important thing that you think about Paris, or what do you think is most important about Positano, whatever the case, she said, I don't have time to think about that, because when I get back, we all realize that in this country, almost 10 million cases of domestic abuse occur every year. And every 20 minutes, another person is abused by an intimate partner. So even in all of that glorious grandeur that is Europe, Bea Robinson was still focused on doing the work here in Silicon Valley. Let me now present to you Consaria Henderson. She is the CEO of Nextdoor Solutions.
Good afternoon. My name is Consaria Henderson, and I have the pleasure of being the Executive Director of Nextdoor Solutions to Domestic Violence. And as all of you have heard over and over, today I stand on the shoulder of giants. As we gather today to celebrate Bea's life and mourn the loss of a true champion of social justice, we remember Bea as a woman of great compassion and a fierce advocate for women and survivors of domestic violence. And her legacy lives on through the countless lives she has touched and the barriers she broke. Angela Davis said, "I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. These words embody the spirit of Bea's life and work. She dedicated herself to fighting for the rights of women, never accepting the status quo, and always working to change the things she could not accept. Bea lived and breathed this truth, always putting the needs and the rights of women and survivors first. Her tireless work paved the way for future generations to continue to fight for equity and justice. Bea's efforts and unwavering commitment to this cause changed San Jose. It changed Santa Clara County, this movement, and this landscape. She was a trailblazer, an innovator, starting the first bilingual program in the nation to support survivors of domestic violence. A vision and service that came to her by listening to her community, by listening to women. This program not only provided support and resources to survivors, but it helped break down barriers, language barriers, barriers of injustice. In 1971, Bea and a group of other fierce women warriors, many probably sitting right here, established a hotline out of her garage, providing support for her community. That hotline led to the recognition that they needed a shelter and that safety for so many was on the line. It was those moments that the establishment of that shelter and safe haven was born, listening to those women. Soon WOMA, or the Women's Alliance, was in full throttle, and an official safe house and building became possible. WOMA is now Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence, and we serve thousands and thousands and thousands every year because of Bea. Bea's life work was about giving voice to those who had been silenced, about making sure that their stories were heard and that their experiences were validated. It was about changing systems that do not work for many and about creating avenues of safety, healing, and justice. She never faltered in her determination, even in the face of great challenges, personally and professionally. Her steadfast spirit and steady resolve will always be remembered as a testament to her strength of character. She once went with a survivor to Mexico to retrieve her children. And let's just say, whenever Bea would tell that story to our staff, let's just say it would get a little bit more colorful and we would learn about a little bit more of the trouble she was up to while she was there. She was a mentor, she was a teacher, she was a leader, she was a guide, she was a warrior, and a phenomenal storyteller. We need more of her in this world. Sojourner Truth said, I am deliberate and afraid of nothing. These words to me also speak to Bea's courage and determination in the face of adversity. She fearlessly fought for what she believed in, never backing down. And as we say goodbye, we know her legacy is in the countless lives she's changed for the better. Her work has and will continue to have a lasting impact, and her name will never, ever be forgotten. It will be remembered. She'll be remembered as a champion of social justice and an advocate for those in need. May her spirit live in all of us. Rest in power, Bea.
Thank you very much for those kind words. I want to acknowledge and say thank you. And God bless the Bea Robinson family. Thank you for being here. I want to thank all of you for being here and want to remind ourselves of something that Bea used to always emphasize, and that is that her dream and her dream, she said, is to end domestic violence, not lessen it, not educate people about it, not prevent it. End it was her vision. And she said that was her dream. that we would end, that she and all of us together would end domestic violence in our country. And I remembered that she would also fondly say, remember, Joe, that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And my dream is that we will end domestic violence forever. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being here. And remember Bea's dream, right? That we should all work together to end domestic violence as we know it.